Hello.
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 we,
Too.
I've watched back every other day. I watch our intros. I'll pick like 5 or 10 intros, and I'll just
Yeah,
watch them back
just
to
to
back.
enjoy.
I just laugh.
Yeah, me too.
So I'm trying to see what else we could do. Today we have Shaena
Jasmat.
Jasmat.
We have Shaena Jasmat on, and we're going to talk to her about living the role of the black sheep in the family.
And where we're going to do that, Andy?
We're doing it on A Wonderful Chaos, Bambos, on A Wonderful Chaos.
And Bulalang comes strong with
He
his
comes
first
strong.
question.
Exactly. He comes in strong with the first question.
Obviously, this is a symbol of us going to a Mediterranean country.
Yes, it is. It is. Where the sheep are scared. It's a black sheep to memorialize the show today, which is the black sheep in the family.
I'm sure you also recognize being a black sheep.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely.
I would like to, before we go into the discussion, I'd like to talk about some things I'm learning. Day 4 of a juice fast I'm now on. And it's getting rough. Day 3, every time I walked by some smell of food, it was not easy. Day 4, it's like unbearable. And there's addition to this that it happens to me every time and I forget. And everybody stinks. Do you notice that?
Yeah.
Like everybody smells. Like I can't sleep next to Ronnie because I'm like, your breath stinks, you know? So when I'm eating meat or whatever I'm eating, and then I smell like, you know, the byproduct of the food I've eaten. But when you fast, just juicing, you know, for
clean up.
You clean up, and then you smell. Your nose gets so sensitive to the smell of to everything around you.
That's how I feel when I don't eat garlic and onion, of course, and then I smell them, and I'm like, oh
yeah,
it just kills me. The restaurant up across the street, actually.
Yeah,
it kills me.
Yeah, they do a lot. Yeah.
So
that was the one thing I just wanted to share as a major discovery before we went in.
How am I smelling, Andy?
You're okay, actually. You're okay. You always put on like almond oil and what is the other thing you put on?
Patchouli with vanilla.
Yeah, you like always do that stuff. So you smell good regardless. But I just thought I'd start there.
Smell good.
How are you today?
I'm good.
Yeah. Why did you hesitate?
I didn't hesitate. I intentionally. I'm good. It's not good. It's not great. It's good.
What stops you from being great?
I guess I haven't taken. Today was my rest day from my workout and everything that I normally do because I pushed a bit too hard. And
how did it serve you? What did you do on your rest day?
Oh, I worked.
Why did I have a feeling?
No, I mean rest day from physical.
Oh, physical.
Yeah.
Okay. You'll laugh. I spent the day with your ex-girlfriend today.
Really?
Yeah.
How was that?
It was nice. We had a nice walk around the town and talked. Yeah.
And as you're walking and you're smelling all the venues for food.
Oh, it was terrible. Like I noticed, I know I'm a carnivore because every time I walk by one of the meat, you know, where they do the kebab stuff, it's torture. It's absolute torture. 5 days of no food. It's painful, but I'm muscling through it. So yeah.
Black sheep of the family.
Black sheep. Yeah, I've often labeled myself as a black sheep of the family.
Yeah.
And on yesterday's show, it was nice was that she mentioned that in the call it the familial dynamics, that basically everyone takes on a role and the role is sort of given to them and it's reinforced by everyone else in the family. So there's a little bit of a precondition for it.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really quite really interesting as she said it, because I think the thing is we often think we became the black sheep of the family. In some ways, we didn't know that there was some environment we were in that labeled us that way and created it very subtly. And we gave some examples in yesterday's show as well for that. How do you feel that way? Because I imagine you must also feel like the black sheep in the family, or not?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I wonder if there's like 4 people in a family and every one of them feels like they were the black sheep. That could also be the case.
I guess everyone sees themselves as having a special role in the family, but for me, black sheep is kind of the outcast.
Yeah.
So I'll claim that throne, since I was a drug addict and
Yeah.
I was more destructive than my brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
And I think I wasn't as drastic because both of my brothers, were lawyers, so they did the right thing, and I got a backpack and just started traveling the world.
Yeah.
And that was the wrong thing.
And you became a loser coach.
Yeah.
And your father did say to you before he died, Andy, if you like, I can pay for your education.
Yeah. At 40, he said they did pay for me to be a lawyer, like as if I hadn't already lived my life and established myself. It's like, nope, you still haven't quite made it. You haven't get a lawyer.
Just in case you still feel for fitting in the family.
Yeah. Just how he thought that at 40, I'd all of a sudden come to the conclusion that I was supposed to be a lawyer.
I have one thing to say.
What's
so
that?
It says
she loves garlic and onion.
And Burlang says, garlic and onion don't deserve a break. They are also the only food that should not be measured but used generously on dishes.
Nice.
I have a thing though. There's a diet called Sattvic diet. And garlic and onion are stimulants, and they actually induce brain activity. So if you actually want to silence the mind and really go deeper in your meditation, those 2 foods you should definitely avoid. I hate garlic, by the way. I just can't stand it.
Wow. I had to make a dish once. I told you about it. I wrote about it in the book. And it was a massive pie, but it was made with bread. And I didn't know the difference between teaspoons and tablespoons. And I needed to put 16 teaspoons into this dish.
What?
Of garlic, of freshly crushed garlic in this industrial like size, because it was made for a big catering event. And then the woman left me with a recipe, and she came home and the house stunk. And so she walks in and she says, I don't know what you did, but there's something really wrong. Like,
yeah.
And then she immediately said, Andy, this is the difference. This is a teaspoon and this is a tablespoon. So I loved it, but she threw it out.
I'm happy.
So on that, I think it's good to bring
the black sheep,
Shaena, on, the black sheep.
Hi.
Hey, black sheep.
I'm like suitably dressed as well today.
Yeah, we all got black on today.
It's easy.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah. I've always worn black because I'm a bit colorblind. I don't know. Is that, did you guys go through black phases, or were you always sort of ready to embrace color in your lives?
No, for me, it's just easy. Like I open my closet. Oh, black pants, black t-shirt. Sometimes it's dark green.
Yep.
But there's a kind of standard thing that I go for. I've got like 10 of these and I'm happy with them. They fit perfectly.
Drives my wife crazy.
Yeah.
People in the UK are just scared of color, like wearing. I remember when I used to have a corporate job, and if I did get a little bit excited in summer and wear something bright, they're like, oh, where are you going today? I'm like, nowhere. Because it's all like always at least a black skirt or black bottoms, or yeah.
So, yeah, it's got to be dreary. No one can enjoy themselves too much in the UK.
No, definitely not. No.
So when did your family hate you? Like, when did that phase happen?
I mean, let's get right to it.
Andy.
She doesn't know me yet.
Mom and Dad from Shaena, if you're watching, he's being funny right now.
Exactly.
I don't know. I mean, I've never asked that. I don't think they would have an answer, or maybe they wouldn't want to tell me. It's funny because when you were talking before and I was listening, and I was like, both of you, I kind of did the not drugs, but the alcohol. So that was my, big thing.
You did
And also,
alcohol?
yeah.
That's worse.
Really?
No.
No, it's not worse. Kidding me?
I mean, I don't think there's much difference. I think
No.
in yeah, but we can go there in a minute. And I also did the whole. Well, I'm a coach, so I also ended up trying to attempt a corporate life that didn't really fit, or I didn't fit into it. So yeah, both sides of the coin. I think I got there.
Nice.
But I hope they don't hate me.
Yeah, let's agree. I don't know. Hate is a really strong word. So I think in a way, when we become the black sheep, I think it's in a way our parents and our family doesn't know how to deal with us because we're not so like satisfying the social norms which are expected of us.
Yeah.
So how was that for
Completely
you
agree.
guys?
I mean,
Yeah,
I
I'm
would.
curious about China.
Yeah, that's exactly, I think, what happened. Also, being an Indian family, the expectations and cultural tradition, not, I wouldn't say traditions, but cultural society expectations are quite restrictive, shall we say.
Was there ever, were you expected to go into an arranged marriage or not?
No, but lucky, my parents didn't have one, so they can't expect any of us to have had one because they didn't.
I almost got one.
You almost got one. Vamos.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How old are you, Sheena?
40, soon to be 41 in 3 weeks.
Why do you look like there's despair in your eyes when you say that?
Because it's come around really quickly. I feel like I'm still celebrating 40.
Oh yeah.
And I say celebrate because I really did.
Yeah. I turned 51 this year, and there was a little bit of like oh shit, it's really heading in that other direction. Like 50 is kind of like great. It's like now I'm over it, and now I got that next milestone to look forward to, I did have a follow-up question to the arranged marriage bit. Did you have something to ask?
Yeah, I wasn't doing so good as a teenager. So my as a drug addict. So my mother thought, hey, maybe we should get him laid. So they actually came with the family to my house, and I locked myself in the bedroom because I just didn't know how to deal with that. And in a way, I didn't trust her to buy me underwear, not to arrange a woman for me.
So you mean that you actually had your mom brought a woman home to the house
with her parents,
so it could be sort of an arranged marriage?
Yeah. And I did not come out of my room to even say hello. I was completely like not having it.
Amazing.
Did you know that it was happening, or was it literally
on the day? I remember her telling me, like, you have to know that I have blurred memories from my past, but that memory I remember very clearly. Felt really uncomfortable. I went and locked myself in the bedroom.
How old were you at this time?
I was 19.
19.
And I was like, no.
And they were at your house.
They were at my house, and they obviously they didn't know what they were getting themselves into.
Would you class it as a trauma? That sounds quite traumatic to me.
I would say there's a lot of things that are trauma. No, that wasn't trauma. That was just like,
I was gonna say, if you hear his life, that is not a trauma.
Okay.
If life is relative to other events, then this is not a trauma.
This is just humorous.
This is just a fun story.
This is black humor.
He tells funny stories that make me want to go get sick to my stomach because they're that traumatic.
Given his upbringing and context. So I want to take you back to when you were a little girl, little Sheena, and where along your upbringing did you start to feel, "Ooh, I'm different," or there's a kind of separation?
I don't think I probably really noticed it until late teens, but one thing which, looking back now, it may have had an impact on me that I didn't realise, but I remember the joke, and we talk about it now, that I was found on the pavement. I wasn't part of the family. They found me on the pavement. My older sister used to tell me, and I think I can't remember if my parents actually said it, but they went along with it. So I think, you know, as a child, that is surely gonna, if I'm still talking about it now, it had an
Yeah.
impact.
Mm.
But I think it was probably 16, 17 that, well, it was when, to be honest, it was when I came home and told my parents that I had a boyfriend and he was white. And that was probably the first thing that made the family go, oh shit, she's doing something, you know, that we did not see coming. And what do we do with this situation? So,
I mean, this sounds like a great story. I want to know when did you tell the story and how did they react? Like, how long had you been seeing the person before you told them?
I can't.
Mom and Dad, if you're watching, these are confessions.
Yes.
No,
Back.
I mean, again, like, it's blurry because although I can kind of picture the scene of when it happened, because it was very upsetting when they were just like, no, this is not happening. I think it was probably about within a month of us. It's somebody I went to school with, someone I'd known for years. So it wasn't like we're just having a few dates. We pretty much knew that, you know, we're
You were in
together
love.
kind of thing.
You were the 16, 17-year-old in love moment.
Pretty much.
We've all had it. This is the person I'm going to spend the rest of my life with.
Yeah, you know,
They're the
planned it
one.
all out.
They're the one.
The chosen one.
Yeah.
But when you tell them, like, what is their reaction when you tell them this?
I don't remember what my words were, but I remember it was a very ice cold situation. And I think, can't remember what was said, but it was very much a no, you are in school. You can, well, I was kind of, I know it's different in the UK. So I'd finished school. I was in college. Before university, we have like 2 years of college, and it was all about, you just got to focus on your studies. You've got to get educated. None of this. We don't do this kind of thing. And it was just like, no, it's not happening. And there was just like no negotiating, no nothing. And all I remember thinking was, I'm a good kid. Like, I've done well in school. I have never gotten into trouble really. So what am I doing here that's really bad? Because that's how it felt. And then it all goes a bit blurry. Like, I don't remember the following weeks.
It actually sounds like that moment in your life, you kind of questioned yourself. You're like, oh, have I not been like, do they not trust me? Like that's a little bit the feeling. Have you shared this story before?
I've shared it. Not probably in a setting like this. Like, people know that I talk to people about it.
Yeah.
But I've not really, actually, I probably have talked about it in therapy a few times. Yeah.
Well, let us get back in a comfortable sofa.
So
Yeah, I will
because I am noticing that as you're speaking, it feels like it happened yesterday. So it feels like
I can picture it. I'm in the same house.
Yeah.
It was, when you can just literally remember where the furniture was, where everyone was stood, and where I was sat, and that's how clear. But the words, the conversation isn't that clear, but the picture is.
Did you see this individual afterwards, or did it really end?
Oh no, we were together for over a year.
But you never did he ever come home? Did you ever bring him home to see the parents, or?
Eventually. So what happened was, my parents pretty much didn't speak to me for a couple of weeks. My older sister tried to, be the middleman and try and get and I can't remember who kind of convinced who, but it was decided. My dad was like, if you're going to do this, I don't want to hear about it. I don't want to know about it. And I think my mum was pretty much the same, but the difference was, if I was going to his house, my mum would sometimes drive me there, but Dad did not want to know. So it was then that, okay, it's happening, but he's not coming here kind of thing. And that was for a year. And then it it changed when our summer holidays, I was going overseas for 2 weeks with him and friends. My parents were also going to be going away at a different point in the summer, leaving me home alone. They knew that, you know, we were going to be together. So at that point, they were like, well, we need to meet him.
Wow.
So they did.
So there's a moment which, like, I know what it's like in my own life to be emotionally shut down. So when I tune into your parents and giving you the silent treatment, it was so painful for them. They didn't understand. At least this is what I believe, right? That it was difficult to interact with you. So giving you the silent treatment was almost the best way they could navigate the situation, or else it would have been a lot of anger.
Probably. Yeah.
Wow.
My parents, and if I remember, like my dad never showed much anger. So if he did, something was bad. And at that time, it like it was bad. So, but his way was to go quiet then after the initial, you know. My mum wasn't an angry parent, but with the kind of ran the house kind of, oh, kids get out of bed and do this. It was more that kind of stuff. Things like this, they didn't see it coming and they didn't know how to handle it. So yeah, I think you're right. They probably just thought, say nothing and hope it goes away, maybe.
Yeah.
Were they the first generation from your family to come to the UK?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, that also I also resonate with my own bloodline because they actually went to the UK. They were
Okay.
refugees during the British occupation in Cyprus. So
Right.
my mother also had an arranged marriage, and she was married to a Cypriot man, my dad.
Mm-hmm.
So in a way, that was the way they did it to keep that way of being in the family. Wow.
Yeah. I'm curious how it was for your sisters, because in some ways you became the example. You're like the poster child for, if you're bad, then we're going to treat you like your sister.
Oh, I suppose my older sister obviously was trying her best to kind of look after me and be there for me while trying to talk to my parents. She also knew the guy I was with, so was trying to say, you know, he's a good person. He's nothing to worry about here. But she was also off to university in a year's time. Was she? I can't remember. But she wasn't. I've got a feeling she was only there for the summer. And then she was going away, or maybe she was going traveling, whatever. Short period of time before she was off. My younger sister, during the time of the non-speaking to me, she was actually on holiday with family friends. So she was out of the picture. So when she came back, we talk about it now, and she said she hadn't a clue. She didn't know what was going on. She just came back and we all had to act normal again. She didn't know.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting because I mean, my dad was really emotionally abusive. Like he had mental issues, and I saw that at any given moment there was always at least one of us, because I was the youngest of three boys. So one of us was not communicating with him basically our entire lives, or two. And what I noticed was that there was tension if there was a bad relationship between me or one of my brothers and my dad, because it kind of permeated, because no one really knew whatever they could talk about comfortably. So to what degree was that the case for you in you navigating through life?
I honestly don't remember. Like during that period, I don't remember how it infiltrated into the rest of the family. We had back then a busy house. So although I remember my parents being very cold with me for a couple of weeks, we also had to, then my younger sisters come back from our holidays. We also lived with my uncle and my gran. So the house is busy. So it probably wasn't so apparent that there was a bit of tension, shall we say.
Yeah.
And I think it was the summer holidays, and not long after all of this died down, I would have been returning back to college, school, whatever. Again, not been in the house very much. So,
But I guess it's a more general question. What I'm trying to sort of feel out is, to what degree, when you go home now, you're home right now, you're with your parents.
yep, yes, that's a
So
story in itself.
how does that play out in terms of the black sheep now? Because you're older than you were then, and you're
Okay.
kind of, you could be like just treated like, hey, we're all adults now. But how would it now show up that you're treated in a way that that you're not like your other two sisters?
I mean, for one, I'm still at home and under their watchful eye, but that that is, I did, you know, I haven't been here the entire time. I went off. I went to different cities for work. I went overseas, and then my issues, shall we say, have progressively got more and more complex, which was where the drinking came in, and then the mental health issues. When I was overseas, I was in Australia 10 years ago, and I was there for about nearly 3 years. And I had to come back home because I was not well, and my parents were like, "We can't look after you while you're a billion miles away." And I've been here ever since. But that last 8 years or so has been rocky, and I really did my best to do the black sheep job then. Let's just say I've been a nightmare. And not intentionally. I was sick. That's all I will always say, you know what, I wasn't well. I'm not that person anymore.
Yeah.
It's a much more pleasant environment now that we're all much happier. But there was a lot of stuff that happened over the years, and yeah, I'd like to think I'm not the black sheep anymore. But
Nice.
do you ever lose the title? I don't know.
I think I don't know
My
how
mother says you're still my crazy son.
Yeah.
Like seriously. Okay, so do you and your parents, where you are today, do you ever revisit that moment in time and laugh at it, or is it like we don't talk about the past and about the white guy you brought to the house?
Oh, we don't talk about that because it's just like not a non, you know, non-event. I don't know, just doesn't get talked about. If I see him, I might say, "Oh, I saw Eddie," you know, whatever. Not a big deal. There are some things, yeah, actually, we don't talk about a lot. Once it's been and gone, it's either, I think it's still a little bit kind of, some of the stuff's quite raw, and we're learning to now live in today rather than in the past. So
yeah, it's interesting because you said you went away, and I think if we look at all three of our lives, we all left our home countries for some time to get away from the shit that was going on there.
yeah, yeah.
And
We're still gone.
Yeah, I guess we are. And I think in some ways, when you go away, you don't realize that you're going away to get sane as well. Although you are leaving problems behind, there's a way in which not being part of a social structure that imposes things on you is gives you some degree of freedom.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm wondering for both of you, like for me, I really need, my mom, you know, she died in a way that was really tragic. So I needed to get away from the pain, and I could see that there was a bit of, you know, incapacity of people around me to support me and what I needed emotionally. I couldn't ask for the help then either. So wondering from your guys' perspective how that was.
Sheena can go first.
For me, I was moving away because I felt like I hadn't found my place in where I was. So I'd moved from city to city. I had loads of friends, but all my friends were on a different page, settling down, getting married, buying a house, first kid, second kid. I didn't even, 10 years into kind of the working world, I still hadn't found the job I liked. And I think I went away for a fresh start, hoping that maybe I can get rid of all that and go where nobody knows me and start over. And to some extent, maybe that happened, but really the deeper issues, well, they just follow you, don't they? And
yeah,
hence why I came back.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think it was a case of I can't be in this environment anymore. It's not doing anything for me, and I don't feel like I belong here. I didn't know where I belong though, so I just thought I'd try somewhere else. So I went to Australia.
Yeah. How was it in Australia? Because I haven't seen I lived in Australia for some years, and I never found that to be the most accepting culture. So, like, as a non-white person, I'm going to be diplomatic in how I speak. As a
Yeah, no,
non-white person, I haven't found them to be the most like sympathetic to outsiders.
I found Australia to be, now you have to understand, like, blatant kind of aggressive racism I've got in the UK. I'm around it in the UK.
Oh wow.
But in Australia, it was like they would say things or maybe act certain ways that was clearly racist, but it's like they didn't realize it.
Yeah,
And we're
yeah,
like,
exactly. It's so ingrained in the system that they don't even know how bad it is.
they don't. And it's like I'd say to friends, like, you can't say that. And they're like, but what? And I'm like, no, you can't say that. But yeah, it's almost like they just are a bit oblivious to what you can and can't say. And you know, I
Can
didn't
you give me an
realize any of
example,
this.
because
Uh,
I'm curious.
oh my God, my sister's gonna kill me.
I throw
Oh
her
no,
under the
wait, I
bus.
can't. No, I can't, because
No, don't.
my sister. You see, my sister's married to an Australian. They live out there now, so she has her own. She's got her own stories. It's like I would be with one of my friends who is actually no longer a friend, but we'd be in the car and he'd be like, "Oh, look, there's some of your people over there." I'm like, like, you just can't. And you know, I'd laugh it off.
Oh my God.
Painful. I was in I studied at the university. Okay.
Okay.
And I'm at the university, and the professor comes into the classroom drunk. I mean, so drunk, like not subtly drunk, like kind of stumbling in
Wow.
drunk.
Yeah.
And then he would just say these things, and I'm like, where's the fucking hidden camera? Like he would say the dumb abbots, because he talk about the Aboriginals, right? And he'd say the
Yeah.
dumb abbots, and I'd be like what fucking planet? What year are we in? But yeah, that was the kind of stuff that would happen so openly when I was there that it baffled me. Like I couldn't understand how it was so acceptable. So yeah,
I'm really surprised.
Yeah.
And we have an Australian next week. Let's ask him.
Yeah, we'll ask him.
Yeah, it's I think maybe I got a little bit used to it. But yeah, it's they are, and it depends where you go in the country as well.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I mean, if you're
some of
going
the
to
inner
like
city.
the rural places, you know, you're going to have a lot more of that. Obviously, if
Yeah.
you're in Melbourne and Adelaide, then obviously it'll be a bit tempered, I guess. No.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Bruce Springsteen, "Blinded by the Light." I'm very disappointed because if you were Afghan, I could, or not an Afghan, a Pakistani, I could talk to you about this film.
Yeah,
But
I mean, we can talk about it, but yeah, I'm not.
I still would like to talk about it. I found it to be an incredible film.
Yeah.
I love
You
it.
don't see movies, so why did you see this film? Because you don't normally
I like
watch
Bruce
movies.
Springsteen.
Yeah. I mean, that's the only reason I watched
Blinded
it.
by the light.
What did you say?
The only reason I watched it because it was about Springsteen, and then I just was like, "Oh my God, this film's amazing!" And I've watched it a few times since. I really
have
loved
too.
it.
Did you know? I'm wondering because, of course, he had issues, and the reason why I brought it up was because in the film, the character had issues with dating a non-white, a non-Pakistani. So, did you feel similarities when you saw that film into your own life, or was it very different, your own experience?
I think as my experience and of my sisters is slightly different in that, although there was the issues when I first bought home. When I say bought home, told my parents about my first boyfriend. After that, I think at some point, not long after that, they suddenly realised, do you know what? We're not bringing our girls up to be that traditional. They have white friends. And I think they started to realise that the expectations they may have had needed to change slightly.
Wow.
and they kind of opened up to, you know, that they probably, well, that we may not marry within our culture and society.
Yeah.
I
I
mean,
mean, what
your
they,
sister married an Australian, so in a way, you kind of opened up the
But
pathway.
is he an Indian?
yeah, no,
Okay, could be
he,
an Indian, you know.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
said they people.
no,
That's a giveaway. Uh,
uh,
yeah.
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 So he's fully Australian. Well, actually half Dutch, but yeah, and I mean, so I think at one point they would have just thought by now, 3 daughters, settled, married. So one's with an Australian, this one isn't married, is just probably, they've given up on me. And my younger sister's partner, she's in New Zealand, and she's got a white partner as well.
When you say they've given up on you, that is leaning a little bit into you playing the role of the black sheep still.
Yeah, oh yes, yeah.
So to what degree do you think, like, do you see actually they were the ones that were confused, not me? Like, how far are you willing or capable of embracing that, maybe the fact you went away and you did kind of fall into drinking problems didn't have as much to do with your own journey, but what you weren't able to make peace with in the chaos of your own home?
Yeah, no, I do. This is stuff that I've started to really realize the last year, since I've, left that whole darkness, and the stuff I'm learning and realizing, and the way I can see how things, expectations, things that we were led to believe, or I don't know how to say it, like we were never told you have to do A, B, and C, but it was in the background a little bit.
Yeah.
And I feel, I guess, for a long
Implicit.
time that I failed to meet expectations. And for a long time I thought, and now I like, were they their expectations or were they mine? I don't know. It was just, it's a big, who knows?
Yeah, I'd love that.
But
What were you going to say, Bambos? You had a question, I think?
Oh no, I said it was implicit.
Yeah, I had
yes,
and I had a funny, when I have the book that Bambos likes to hold up.
Which one?
The Last Letter. So I wrote a section in the book, which was one of these incredible moments in my life where I was 17 at the time, and I went to go work in a factory in Detroit for my uncle. And I was the only white kid in the factory. And I mean, this was rough. This was inner city Detroit. I had never experienced anything like it in my life from this vanilla sky that I'd lived in. And I was sitting across from this friend that I became very close to when I was there. We were driving forklifts and moving stuff back and forth. And I asked them, I said, I'm wondering, did you ever think that you might go to college? Right? It was like a wondrous question and he's like, because I said from the moment I was born, I kind of always knew that I was going to, or it was expected of me, or so everything, even if it was never said, it was just known that I was going to be going to college. And then it was funny. It was like, I said to him, ever since I remember, I knew I was going to go to college. And then he looked at me and said, Andy, ever since I remember, I knew I was never going to go to college. And it was like a big light moment for me, because I was like, wow, I didn't really know how much of my life was pre-prescribed for me without me even knowing it. Yeah.
I completely, for a long time, I used to say, I'm not bothered about a career. I want a family. I want to get settled. I want a partner and kids and a house. And I just thought that's how life went. And I know lots of people think that. But then when that hasn't happened, that's where I've struggled through the years, because it's like, oh my God, like, what is wrong with me? Why didn't I do the things that everyone else does? When I think back, I was like, at what point did I suddenly decide that was how life was meant to be? No one had the conversation with me. So, and I know obviously it's just what you see around you, but then I've started to really think, actually, maybe that was never, like, I feel like I'm trying to accept now, maybe that was never meant for me. It's just what we feel we should be doing. The college thing, same. Never spoken about. Well, we were all going to university. Like, there was just no question about it. And I never questioned it. It was just the thing.
Yeah.
You went to university, you got a degree, you got a good job. That was
Yeah,
it.
but
And
when you say we don't know where it comes from, I mean, we've all been raised on Disney, and then from Disney we progressed to like Julia Roberts, and then from and then so and every maybe not Bambos, but I mean, there's like these weird, stupid, implicit, like even wedding rings were developed by the diamond manufacturers to create something that people felt like they needed, and
yep.
in a way, like how do we begin to detach from all of these things we've taken to be the norm and now see, wow, I have actually been being programmed by my environment.
I mean, my answer is that for me, I had to completely have about 5 different breakdowns until I could detach from it. Because I do think it is that ingrained in us that we have to go through the what is wrong with me if we don't get it to come out the other side to go, actually, nothing wrong with me at all. It's the rest of the world that is trapped in this bubble of this is what you do.
Yeah.
And I'm really hoping that I'm not in that anymore and I can see past it, because I was trapped in it for a long time, and that's what led to all my issues.
What did you see? Like, how did you deal with the times when you were stuck in it? Like, what were the beliefs you think you had then, and how did that impact you?
I mean, it went beyond not good enough. I was worthless. No point. Why am I here? Why do I exist? I tried to take my own life several times. It was dark. I didn't want to be here because I didn't see my purpose or what the point was. I wasn't doing the right things, the right things. And it just, every time I attempted to in some way or another, it didn't work. There was rejections or whatever it was, just kept knocking me back, and I just got tired of trying.
Yeah.
So then I just thought, let's just drink, numb it
Slow
out,
death.
and then, well, there was that, and then there was the odd times where I would just go, do you know what? I don't even want this anymore. What's the point? And I don't recognize that person anymore. Like, I really do feel so far away from that person. I mean, I don't think I'd be able to talk about it so easily if I was still there. But that's what it took me to detach from all of that conditioning and the expectations that society puts on you.
Like, as I'm here with you, I just want to acknowledge that you're a woman. You come from a conservative family, and I recognize the conservative part because my whole culture is conservative and very religious. There's a lot of stigmas about how things should be, and normally the man in the family is the most important. And you're sitting here, and it's almost like you're bearing your soul, and I'm not going to pretend I see the struggle in you, but I'm also celebrating that even though there's a struggle, it's very powerful to be with you.
There was a few times on the show I wanted to tell you I love you. It was hard not to say that. Yeah.
So thank you.
Don't make me cry, please. I didn't think I was going to cry on this one.
That's what they all say.
It's okay, yeah. We tend to cry before they do. Yeah.
I feel a bit silly saying things like this, but I'm really proud of myself that I pulled myself out of that headspace and place I was in, because it was dark, really dark.
What would you say was the moment where you came out of that place, or you made your first step out of the dark realm?
It was a little bit kind of forced, in a way that I was taking some of the decision was taken away from me. This is quite embarrassing. My parents go to India every winter. So they were out of the country to not last into just before the pandemic. They were out of the country. I am spiraling again. They can probably tell that I am, because I'm not so, on phone calls. Their parents, they can sense it, can't they?
Yeah.
And there was just a weekend when I was having a really like, I don't want to talk to anyone, please everybody leave me alone kind of feeling without saying that to anybody. Sat there at home drinking, and somebody just walks into my back room at home, and I'm like, and it's one of the neighbours in our street. And I'm like, what? My parents were that worried because I didn't answer the phone that they call the neighbours and say, can you go around and check on her? That's, I mean, at that point you're like, okay, this has to stop. Yeah, this isn't just family that are aware there's an issue. This is people that have seen you grow up from a child to an adult and now have come to check on you. So I was taken to stay with my aunt for a couple of weeks, in which time we booked flights for me to go to India with them, to stay with them. And the next few weeks were a little bit up and down, but it was on the plane, on the flight, I knew that when I landed, something had to change. Like, and I'm not just one, like everything had to change actually. And I kind of made peace with that on the flight, knowing that I get there, that's it now. And it was almost I'm tired of living that life. Something is not letting me check out of that life. So I need to live a new one or change. And I swear that I got there, I got to India, and that was it. Didn't pick up a drink again, stopped smoking, just very quickly knew that, right, I need to start doing things. I need to start taking action. I can't just tell my parents that's it. I need to show them now that I am going to turn this around. And I did.
It's like a recognition that the way you were living wasn't making sense anymore.
Yeah.
So I still feel a bit of confusion. I'll tell you why. When I was a drug addict, I had let's say five attempts to end my life also. And on the last one, I had an overdose. And I mixed a lot of LSD with a lot of other substances, and I stayed in what I would call a trip for 2 months. And in that trip, it's like yesterday and today were fused, and the ground from under my feet didn't exist, and I just felt like a baby where I had to really I was clawing into my body to feel that I'm still here. And I don't know exactly how, but I saw images of me as a child enduring abuse, and that I was intentionally abusing myself or continuing the abuse. And when I saw those images, that's what I needed to see to realize doesn't make sense. And then from there, I snapped out of it. Like I wasn't in a detox center. It just happened in a living room. Now I'm wondering, what was the image, if anything? I'm projecting here, but I'm kind of curious. Was there something in your life you're like, I need to deal with this? This just doesn't make sense.
I think the neighbours walking in was a turning point. And what I think happened was, after that happened and I went to stay with my aunt who didn't know them, that wasn't talked about for a couple of weeks it was like a little transition period where I was in a little bubble at her house. She was just looking after me, didn't really want to push any boundary with the conversations. And then I was suddenly on a flight. I knew that I get there and my parents are going to bring up that situation again. And I think that was it. Like, it's almost like the 2 weeks in the middle we can just remove. And it was that turning point of, this isn't just about your family knowing or your very close friends and colleagues. These are people out. This is going too far. And I still had that moment of, that's it now, I'm done. Close that chapter. I always joke about it, but on the flight, I did have drinks. But in my head, I was like, it wasn't like, ridiculous, getting messy, but I had a few drinks and I was like, this is going to be it, because when I get there, there'll be no more. And I was okay with it. I was at peace with knowing I land in India and that chapter has to be finished.
Wow, incredible. So when you land in India and you're ready to make a change, how did your parents or environment support you to make that change?
Did they even believe you?
Probably not, because why should they? We've been here many times before. Where we live in India itself is like going to some kind of detox sanctuary. You're in bliss. It's just palm trees and sunshine and paradise. You know what I mean? It couldn't be in a better setting. I was very.
I was going to say
lucky
you're in South India, not North, then obviously.
Well, actually, kind of in the middle, but it's not completely tropical. It's just right, and we're not in a city. It's quiet. It's lovely.
Which part of India, if I may ask?
Gujarat. So yeah, so where Mumbai is, we're north of that, but along the coast. Just carry on going further up the coast. So setting wise, the environment, a very nice environment. Plenty of space because we've got a big house up there and it's just me and my parents. But they let me probably settle in for a few days, and then we had a conversation about what had happened. Again, I think I tend to block these things out because they're so uncomfortable. But I could tell that they didn't really, again, trust that I said that was it. And they'd been in touch with some doctors and stuff while I was obviously coming over to India, and had some holistic therapy, Ayurvedic doctor had sent them, or they bought these like herbal remedy things, and they said, this will stop the cravings. And I was like, well, I'm a week in and I haven't had any, but I just went along with it because I thought this is going to show them that I am taking it seriously. I knew I didn't need them because I would have needed them almost immediately, but there were no cravings. I'd made the decision, but I went along with it.
I'm curious, when you had the conversation with them, what was their version of how they experienced you, and what was your version? Like when they said this needs to stop, what did they see being the problem?
The drinking had to stop. They couldn't. They were saying things like, we just don't sleep anymore. Like, we are always constantly worrying. We can't live a life where we're retired now. We come to India, but we don't come to India to enjoy ourselves because every second we are worrying about you. And so that was, and you know what? I'd known that for a long time. I'd ignored it, or it was very much don't want to face that issue. But I was ready to not only face it, but to change it.
How does it feel now? Because if you said, and I know this feeling of you become a wholly different person, but of course there's many people that knew you as the other person. So how would you navigate this world where you are and you experience yourself to be totally different, but there's people who know you from that other time and they don't actually treat you in the way you are now, but kind of expect things from you like you were in the past?
I don't have many people that knew me back then that are still here now. A lot of it is probably to do with being in lockdown for so long and just situations changing. And the fact that I left my old job, which was a lot of my social network was work-based, they're gone. And it's a good thing. I know it's a good thing. There's a few people there that were very good friends, but I've accepted that they can't be part of this life anymore because I would have stayed like with a little foot still back. I needed it. Some people just had to go, and some were hard. It was hard to accept sometimes, but I know it's for the best. So there's only maybe a handful of people that are still in my life, from knowing that Shaena to knowing this one. And they're the ones that probably the whole time have been there. But when I've made this like transformation, are 100% behind me, and happy and pleased and proud and all of that. Like, they're the right people that have kind of are still here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm very lucky.
So now that you're living with your parents and you're 41, I'm smiling. I'm smiling because I have a reference when I go home and visit my mother. She still asks me like 10 times, "What do I want to eat?" So I'm wondering, do they still treat you like a little girl, or do you still also are you still able to be, "Hey, I'm an equal now"?
No, it's they're never going to lose that "what do you want to eat" thing because, well, not only parents but Indian parents. So my mum,
Yeah.
we have completely different diets in this. I went vegan in January, and she still I'll say, look, I will just sort myself out now, but that she will still sort the dinner out, and then sometimes it was yesterday or the day before I came down, she's like, "Oh, I've made you this." I was like, "Mum, I said I'd be fine and I'll find something." She's like, "I know, but I worry that we've got food and you haven't." I'm like, "I have food, I just haven't planned what I'm going to eat yet." So she's still, that will never go. And she sits there and she gets upset that she can't feed her other two children because they're in different countries. And I'm like, they're not starving, they're just living elsewhere. But I think for me, because of the mess I got myself into, the one thing that they still feel like they are not taking control of. Fine, like I was in a lot of debt and they had to bail me out.
Yeah.
So we're still not in a position where they trust me with that.
Mm-hmm.
And before, I used to really resent it and get annoyed, but now, like, I created that situation. I was lucky that I had parents to bail me out. So now I'm very accepting that, they need to know what's going on with my finances. And there will come a time when I'll be like, they'll be comfortable that she's doing all right, she can handle it now. But that's probably the one thing they do still have a little hold over. The rest of it, pretty much, they really want me to, that they support everything I'm doing in this business I've started and everything. They're just 100% behind me. I think the only difference is because we've been in lockdown for so long, the three of us have become very kind of, we're barely without each other because of the situation. So it's getting used to time apart, which is going to have to happen. And it not just from their side, but it worries me a little bit as well, because I've got used to having them there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How was that for you to hear that, Bambos? Because you're going home as well to that now.
Well, I'm the thing about me and my family, I'm very open. I mean, everyone knows that I do a podcast. I talk about my sexuality, drug addiction, everything. Everything's on the table. So when I go back, and my family will say, "Oh, we don't like that you're talking about mom, or you're talking about on your podcast or your social media posts." It's like I'll listen, and I'll still do my thing because that's the way I choose to live. But I won't. It won't be done in a way that I'm not compassionate to them, or like it's still loving. But I love me. This is how I live, and I love them. And as you were speaking, my mother has opened up so much on our journey, because every day I have coffee with her in the mornings, or every other day now, and through WhatsApp video. When she picks up the phone, it's a video call, and she's saying hello. I'm like, "Mom, I can see your ear." And every day, every time we call, she does that. She says, "I forgot again." So I said to her, "Mom, what was the most horrible memory you have of me?" She's like, "You idiot, when you came home and you were vomiting in the hallway." And she said, "I started hitting you and you were laughing at me." And
I get that.
we look at that though, and we can laugh.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to
Yes,
say.
yeah.
There's no heaviness about
Shame
it.
or
No,
trying
no,
to
no,
avoid.
absolutely not.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say we're not probably there with a lot of that, but because some of it is very recent. I'm talking only, well, yeah, it is very recent, but we are in a much better place. And I do, I forgot what you were saying now, and I thought I related to that. Oh my God, it's gone. It's completely gone. You were saying about your mum.
Picking up the phone and having his ear each time and seeing and forgetting.
I can't remember. It probably wasn't that important. But yeah, we're just in a really nice place now where, my 40th birthday, I know it was lockdown and now I don't drink anymore. So there's a lot of changes, but I chose to spend it with my parents. We went on holiday for a week and that was something I would never have done. My birthdays were like, how far can I get away from them so I can drink as much as possible? And I felt like I've spent so long doing that this year I want it to be just the three of us, and we had the best time. I feel like our relationship is just amazing now.
Wow.
It feels like you've taken a lot of responsibility for your actions, and you're more loving towards them. You're not judging them for being. In fact, I hear that you're very compassionate towards them when they treat you a certain way, even though it's not comfortable, just because you see that the feelings they had was coming from love and not out of
yeah. And I think probably even then I realized that, but I didn't show it or wasn't ready in the right. Now I completely appreciate everything. Couldn't receive it. You're right. Now it's completely different, and and then now even stuff that comes up that I would say I can see that it may have been something they said or did in my childhood that has impacted me. It's not like, oh my God, it was your fault. I can see why you did that thing because of of your own situations, but this is probably why I've gone the way I have, but it's okay. We're learning, we're growing, and and we're open about it, and I do talk to them about it. So
nice.
I love the way you've navigated the it's almost like I've often felt like whatever you've done that could be perceived as a mistake, it only remains that way to the degree that you're in denial of it, the degree to which you don't just allow yourself to accept it and then make peace with whatever you could do now. And every time we've addressed anything on the show today with you, there's always been like not defending it or trying to justify it or try to explain it. Just it was what it was, and I'm here now. And there's a beauty in that I see. It kind of, there's some people when they'll talk to me and they'll share with me their journey, and I hear they're still trying to convince themselves of something. Like they don't trust themselves, and you hear it when they explain stuff. It's going to be fine. I'm it's almost like a hyper voice of trying to, I'm going to speak. So I'm going to convince myself, even though I don't believe it. And it's just been beautiful to be with you and hear like kind of coming out the back end of a shitty journey and actually being able to almost even not celebrate it in a way like it was bad, but celebrate like, I guess this needed to happen so I could get here.
100%. I say that. Like, yes, it was really bad at times, but the person that I say almost created had to come from something, and I won't be where I am and doing the things that I do now because without all of that, I'm putting it to good use.
Let's go through some of the comments because there were a few coming in.
I loved Burlang's comment, who's commenting from YouTube. Feeding is an act of love and not necessarily parenting. My mother's love language is food.
Same
with me. Like if I want to show love to my wife, her love language is touch, but also if I go pick up Indonesian food, she falls more in love with me.
And chicken wings.
Chicken wings as well. She likes chicken wings. And Bolalong
on Facebook.
Also on Facebook now says all members of my family are black sheep because we're all black. That's very interesting, Bolalong. I don't know how to touch that one, but
me neither.
We're just going to let that one hang in the air.
Beautiful.
He enjoys us. He joins us each day. Would you like to share what you do today and let us know if people want to get in contact with you, how they get in contact with you?
Yeah. So after all of that I went through, I thought, hey, let's become a life coach because that's what everyone does, isn't it? No. I genuinely have found the thing that I absolutely love to do, and that is coaching women who I feel like they've got to maybe their late 30s and have gone, where am I? How did I get here almost? Where's my life gone? Why have I done nothing that I enjoy? What is going on? And want to make a change, but don't know where to start, don't know if they can, are just shit scared basically, because they feel like not that they're running out of time, but it's now or never. And I am a ambassador and coach for a organisation called Be Sober, who are an amazing organisation that just support. It started out as an organisation that arranged social events for people that were on their sober journey, but still wanted to, have fun, because we can have fun apparently without drink. And it's kind of blown up in the last year, and we're doing so well. But I do a lot of work with them. We've even got ambassadors in the States. We've got one. We're hoping to get another one, and we've got one in Australia. So we're going global. So that is what I spend my time doing, and I have a podcast. But yeah, I'm busy.
If someone wanted more information, they'd go to besober.
If they come to my Instagram, which is my handles at Shaena_KCJ, they will find me, and then my links to all my other Be Sobers linked on there as well, because I'm an ambassadors page. So they will find everything they need there.
Can you you're in contact with Andy through Messenger, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Can you type it out and we'll post it here?
Yeah, we'll post it here as well.
Yeah, I will put it all in a message to you, and then people can find me there. But
Wonderful.
yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me on. It's been really good.
It was really great being with you. Yeah.
Have a beautiful end of
It's
Thursday.
Yeah, we don't even know what the days are anymore.
Yes, that's it. All right,
love,
take care, guys. Bye. Bye.
Like this time last year, because of COVID, like the weekends would blend into the week, so we never knew what day it was.
It's still that way for me. I mean, Friday date night is the only thing I have fixed in my week. Like Friday date night is like, that's how I know what a week is.
So the funny thing is, though, also our guest yesterday, Leah, she also had it was very recent for her, and she also started doing the coaching. So I see we have again a theme this week.
Yeah, overcoming challenges to find that you want to become a server of others that are also going through the same thing. Yeah, in service to others. Yeah.
Tomorrow,
Bambos, we have, we're counting down the days, 6 more days of shows. I don't know what you're going to do without me.
Masturbate.
Oh, no. No, you don't, because you never climax. So what's the purpose of doing that in your life?
Torturing myself, bring it to 90% and stop and breathe.
Stop and breathe. Oh, I think that's
it's another form of self-pleasuring.
Tomorrow is a show we're going to do with the woman who talks to us about the films.
Tomorrow, guys, we have How Films Affect Our Mental Health.
Yeah, with
Anne Fustel.
Nice. I like your pronunciation.
She's going to kill me.
But I really like this topic because I often find that when we invite people or things into our lives, it primes our mind for certain thoughts. So I'm curious to see what she can tell us about ourselves from the shows we're watching. In your case, from what you're not watching.
And we're going to do that on
a wonderful chaos.